Hey everyone, Aaron here with Elite Watersports. This review is all about the Ride Engine Airbox, and it's an electric pump that'll pump up your wings, your SUPs, and also your kites. We've had it for over a year. It came out in 2024. We put it through the tests, and well, this review is all about what we've learned. Hey everyone, Aaron here with Elite Watersports, and this video is all about the Ride Engine Airbox. And you know, this came out in like 2024, and we've had it for over a year now. And just like all of our other reviews, we want to actually put the gear out in the lessons fleet, the demo fleet. We want to sell it to a couple of clients and see their feedback and make sure that we're selling a really good quality product. Why I'm at that kind of subject, there are some other cheaper models out there, of course. They're all over the place, all over the internet. And what we found out is a lot of them aren't holding up like the Ride Engine Airbox. So we're standing behind this one. We have had a couple warranties here and there, and it's mainly just a battery issue or something to do with the computer that just needs a reset. But if it does have any issues further than that, Ride Engine has really stepped it up and really held up their warranty process. So going into the actual Airbox, our first initial reaction a year ago was, oh, we don't need to go out there and use an electric pump. We can use our standard pumps. It's the vibe. It's part of the process. And we feel as if it is faster and more efficient with our time just to pump it up super, super fast. And the local environment, the local community has actually all converted over to having this electric pump. And here's why. The cool thing is that you can set it and forget it. If you have an anchor in the system, in the ground, you can literally plug it in, set your PSI, and move on. Go over to your lines, rig your lines and everything, and by the time you're done with your lines, your kite's all ready to go. Or if you're a winger and you're setting up that wing, pump it, set it, forget it, go set up your foil. By the time you're done with your foil, you can get on the water because your kite or your wing is all set, ready to go. It has multiple different settings within, so make sure you read that manual. The manual is going to tell you that it has one setting, which is two stages. It's a high volume, so your kite's gonna inflate super, super fast. And don't quote me, but it's around like 300 to 500 liters a minute. That's super, super fast. After it hits a certain pressure, about 1 or 1.5 PSI from what we've seen, it switches over to a high pressure pump. So there actually is 2 different compressors going on in here. When it switches over to that, you can go all the way up through 20 PSI. Most kites being at 7 to 10 PSI, that gives us a range on a standard 10-meter kite of about 7 to 9 10-meter kites that this can pump up with one charge. It's a super big battery. And of course, there's other pumps out there with larger batteries, but we found 7 to 10 kites means you're not always charging this thing. When it comes to charging, it's super easy. You just actually use a USB-C. Takes a couple hours, so set it, forget it overnight. And there actually is a 12-volt adapter, so you can plug that in also. The modes are going to be 2-stage like I talked about, but also just a high volume stage where it gets up to about 1 and 1.5 PSI. So larger things like SUPs, you can really pump up super fast. I use it on our Zodiacs. Our Zodiacs take a massive amount of air. I can set it, forget it, walk away, put it on 1 PSI or so. That's all Zodiac takes. I'm good to go. Overall, the experience has been really, really awesome. And I've converted over to using this on many of our demos, just so I can kind of focus on talking to other people while a kite's being pumped up. So now let's go ahead and show you how it works. We're going to pump up a wing and also a kite and just kind of give you a little bit more confidence before you do the purchase. All right, here we are. We're about to set up our kite. And I'm going to go ahead and start it up. I just press the power button, press and hold, it turns on. Okay, good to go. And then I'm going to set my PSI. Up and down, plus or negative. And of course, if you are using different measurements, different units, it does have that option. But here at Elite Watersports, St. Pete, we knew no PSI. So make sure that you have that set on PSI. It actually does have a battery indicator. Now, I'm about half power right now. No problem to pump up a couple kites. One thing I do have to say is that the hose is proprietary. It does have a screw-in fitting, and the intake all right, doesn't actually have a filter of any kind. So you do have to be cautious on making sure you're not sucking any sand, or in this case, like grass or debris. So I typically have the pump, because it is rubberized, it doesn't have any sharp edges. I go ahead and put that on my canopy. It makes it no worries. Because of that proprietary hose, which is no big deal, it comes with all the different fittings right out of the bag. I just pick the right fitting, it being Nash. It's kind of the SUP fitting. Plug it in. Do a pre-twist on the hose so it's kind of locked in. And then hit power again. Oh, turned off on me. That way it doesn't run down the battery. Okay, it's on 7.5. Hit it again. Now you kind of hear it in the video. It's not quiet. It does have a higher decibel, but I can still have a conversation with somebody. I'm not going to allow it to kind of like pump up the wingtips. I'm going to actually unfold the kite a little bit more. And say if I was out on the beach and I want to go ahead and walk away, I can use a little pin or something to anchor the kite down in the ground. It's good to go. So you can see this is a 7-meter kite. Sure, we're using a smaller kite, but that's no big deal. 15-meter kites, doesn't matter. 19-meter kites, it works all the same. You can see it's already switched over to the second stage. That's going to be high PSI. It already hit 1 PSI, and now it's going to start topping it off. We'll walk through and just kind of wait and maybe speed up the video for you. All right, that didn't take long at all. It is a 7-meter kite, so not too much volume, but we're at like maybe a minute and a half, and this kite's already 100% ready to go. Get ready to jump in the water. I'm gonna do my normal disconnect, no big deal there. And the pump's gonna automatically turn off so it doesn't suck up or consume any battery, just kind of being dormant like that. So here we are, kite's done, ready to go. Not too bad, right? All right, so let's do a side-by-side comparison, and kind of like the footprint in your car or your truck or even for travel. What we found is that the electric pump is a much easier to kind of throw on the jet ski as long as it's dry, or a boat, or just throw it in the back seat of your car. It's reliable enough that you don't have to bring this pump everywhere you go. Let's get into one huge factor that we've learned is that all these kites are starting to be very specifically designed for an exact PSI. And that's going to go into its the skeleton of the actual kite or wing, and exactly how it's supposed to flex. And you know, this kite or this wing being 9 PSI, it's very, very hard to be looking down at your gauge this whole entire time while you're pumping. And also you're starting to flex it. You're trying to figure out exactly the PSI with a pump. And of course, we get good at that at some stage or another. But if you have the electric pump, you can set it and forget it. Put it on 9 PSI, and that wing or kite or whatever you're using for the day is going to be exactly what is needed and called for by the manufacturer's specification. Some other features about the Ride Engine Airbox is it does have a deflate. Deflate hasn't really worked too well for our wings and also kites. We're not really using it for that application. Sure, if you're like doing some traveling and whatnot, you want to get every little bit of air out of the kite, it's quite the process because you're actually sucking the bladder up into it. What we've used it for is actually deflating stand-up paddleboards. It works really, really well to really micro-size those paddleboards by sucking every little bit of air out of it. Also, what we've noticed is that a lot of the clients come in and they see this kind of messed up kind of cover right here. And they've done so well with actually like getting that cover like tucked away inside that they don't realize that that was just a protective covering. So make sure that you remove that if you want to, or leave it on there to keep some of those scratches off the Ride Engine pump. All right, so this is Aaron with Elite Watersports. We fully endorse this, a really awesome tool to add to your quiver. It is convenient, it's reliable, and I gotta tell you, like at first sight, maybe you're kind of skeptical about it, but I guarantee you after a couple uses, you'll be on board also. So like and subscribe to our videos. If you have any questions, give us a call. We're at the shop 7 days a week just for you guys. We'll see you on the water.